What if I told you that I knew the secret to never feeling overwhelmed or overburdened or overextended or stuck or burnt out? If I told you I had that secret, would you want it? Would you be willing to do what it takes to never feel that way again? Well, that's what we talk about today, because I do have a tool that I have been using for years that helps me when I start to feel overwhelmed. I use this as an indicator. When I start to feel that I'm getting burnt out, it is an indicator. I don't have to stay in those feelings anymore. I don't have to stay in that state anymore. And it's because of this, an elevated sense of self-awareness, understanding why I do what I do, understanding why I make the decisions that I make, and understanding my core avoidances and core tendencies has helped me elevate how I feel. Well, that's what we talk about today. We're going to talk about this one tool. It's the Enneagram. Let's dive in. Hey, and welcome to the Full Weight of Joy podcast, the podcast for women who are done stressing about the weight of the world, of expectations and settling for status quo, and ready to step into the full weight of joy. Joy in the journey, whether up or down, joy through the life's challenges, and joy in loving your life right where you are, even though sometimes we feel like chucking it all and moving to Bali. It's for women who are ready to step into who God called them to be. He chose you to be in this world. He created you for a specific purpose. God called us to be the light on a hill, and by embracing who you are and whose you are, you can stand on that hill and shine. The best part, when you're standing next to another woman who's also on the journey, the world gets brighter. My name is Tammy. I am your host and a master certified life coach and a trained therapist. For over a decade, I've been helping women do just that. Step into who they're called to be and shine. Are you ready, friend, to start your journey? Let's do this. I'm going to tell you a story about Sarah. So Sarah was a passionate entrepreneur. She started a side gig. She's a full-time mom. She volunteers at the PTA or PTO or whatever they're called now. She is the soccer mom. She makes sure that the kids all have treats for their birthdays. Like, she is doing all of the things. And when she first came to me, she had this side gig that she really is feeling God calling her to, and it was doing good. It was growing, and her business was growing. She had clients that she loved to work with. She started a little marketing. It was a little marketing agency that she had started just because she loves social media, and so she was doing this for a little revenue, a little fun money is what she called it. She's just doing it for fun. But deep down, she was struggling because she was loving the direction of her little marketing business, her side gig. She loved going and being part of her kids in her kids' school. She loved all of the things she was doing. And yet she could not figure out why she was burning out, why she never felt fully satisfied, even with all of the things. And everyone's like, and everyone would talk about, like, Sarah, you're doing so well. Like, look at all the things that you're doing. And this is where, when she started working with me, one of the first things we did is we dove into the Enneagram. Understanding core desires and core motivations. This kind of opens up, cracks the egg. It opens the box and allows us to know why we do what we do. And so one of the things we discovered about Sarah is she's the type 2. So she had the core desire to be loved, to be appreciated. And her core fear, her core avoidance was feeling unworthy. And if she wasn't helping others, she felt like someone else would take her spot, which led to her feeling overextended, putting clients' needs above her own, feeling like she was taking her business that she loved, her side gig that she loved, and then was downplaying that because she felt that it was taking over. It would take some of the time away from her kids. So she overextended, she overexerted herself there and tried to make sure that her kids had, Pinterest-worthy lunches. And she wanted to be everything, everyone. And so what we started doing, we started to unpack that. And we allowed Sarah to recognize a crucial pattern that she was saying yes to everything out of fear that they wouldn't ask her again. She was saying yes out of a fear of, well, if I said no, I'll disappoint them or I'll let them down or they won't think I'm capable. And so as we started working together, we started putting boundaries into place. We started looking at projects that she would take, whether it was for her kids, for her church, for her family, for her side gig. And we put down boundaries so that they would only, if they aligned with her vision, if they aligned with her values, if they aligned with what she wanted for her life, then she would say yes to it. And it's not only did she regain her energy, but she also her business doubled. And she was able to start saying no to things that she didn't really want to say no to, or that she didn't really want to say yes to. I should say that. She said no to things that she knew that she was doing out of fear, not out of desire. And so this was a turning point for Sarah. And this is one of the reasons why we need the Enneagram. This is one of the reasons why self-awareness is one of the most powerful things you can do when it comes to being an entrepreneur. So I wanted to talk about today 5 ways the Enneagram elevates your self-awareness. Because when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a solopreneur, when you are starting a side gig, or even more importantly, when you're starting a business or an impactful business, and many of my clients, they start things from a need they have. I started my business after I went through grief and I saw that what was out there was terrible. I had such a bad experience with my therapist. That's why I went and became a therapist. And then when I became a therapist and I saw that, I was like, well, I want to help people grow, not just heal. And so that's why I became a coach. The more I understood myself, the more I can direct and the more I understood how God wired me. Like, let's just put that out there. It's really how I was wired. We don't stop as entrepreneurs, as solopreneurs, as people who start side gigs. We just put our head down and we just go. We have a couple of wins, so we just dive more into that area. And what I want for you, what I wanted for myself, what I want for Sarah is a business that you absolutely love, that grows with you and can shift with you, and that you can see how everything has led up to this moment. One of the key mistakes that we make as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as side gig, or even if you're starting a nonprofit or a ministry and like a book club, one of the things that we forget to take into consideration is why we do what we do, and the self-awareness, more than just oh, I feel happy today, or I feel fulfilled. No, it's deeper than that. It's the deeper why. And so one of the things that the Enneagram does, well, 5 of the things, we're going to talk about 5 of the things the Enneagram does for us and why I chose this one, because there's Clifton Strengths, which I love and I use as well. That was probably not that was on the tip of my tongue, but DISC, Myers-Briggs, the colors, the animals, the numbers, there's so many different things. And I wanted to look at an assessment that helps us understand why we do what we do, but doesn't limit us to that box that it puts us in. And that's what the Enneagram does. It allows us to get out of our box, see why we do what we want to do, what we do, and then change it if we want to, or go deeper if it's working for us. And so these 5 ways the Enneagram elevates self-awareness is, 1, it clarifies our why. When you understand your core motivation, when Sarah understood that she was choosing things and saying yes to things simply because she was afraid that they wouldn't ask her again, or that she wouldn't feel worthy or loved by the people around her, then we were able to say, okay, well, you know that feeling worthy and loved is important. How can you fill that up in a different way versus serving others? And again, if you've been following me for long, you know that Christ already answers all of these. It's not up to another person to help us feel loved and worthy. It's from within, and from God answers it. And so when we understand our why, when we help identify our core motivations, what drives us, these are also the driving force behind why we started our business. Which, funny story, one of the things is because I started being a therapist because I felt that the therapist was doing it wrong, was telling people, giving the wrong advice. And if I told you some of the things that she suggested I do, you would say, why would anyone ever suggest that? It's, that was like, and I didn't even know therapy at that point. I just knew that that was not the right decision. And so it's why I started going into therapy. When I understood that, it was like, well, it was mind boggling to me. And then I started looking at, oh, well, this is why I made this decision. This is why I made that decision. Ooh, that's why I didn't go in that direction because of that fear. So when we understand our deeper why, it allows us to align with our purpose and to build a business that truly fulfills our needs as well as what we were called to do. And so the next one is spotting blind spots in decision making. I have done a couple of podcasts recently about decision making because this is one area that I've really been diving into and specifically and intentionally looking at, okay, what decisions have I made? Why did I make them? And what worked and what didn't? So if we understand our if we understand our core motivations, our core avoidances, our core desires, we also can see our weaknesses. We can see our blind spots. We can see how the decisions that we've made in the past affected us, our families, our side gigs, and our future. So by recognizing these tendencies, we can avoid some of the things that we're like, well, that's not the direction I wanted to go. And we can make well-rounded strategic decisions based on what we want versus just the gut reaction or the instinctual reaction that we do because it's natural for us. So the next one is mastering emotional responses. Okay, if you've started anything, there's an emotional drive to everything we do. Even for me, that I feel like I'm a lot more logical than emotional. There's still that emotional drive. And even with Sarah my client, her emotional drive was that she didn't want to feel like she wanted to feel needed. So that drove her decisions, which led her to burnout, which led her to overextending, which led her to the exact opposite of what she wanted from the side gig in the first place. Is she wanted it to be the extra, to give life giving for her family, and it ended up like affecting and draining some of their family. But when she understood that and we made a couple of switches and put in a couple of boundaries and realized that she doesn't have to make those decisions based on those instinctual reactions, she knows that she's in the heart triad. She knows that she wears her heart on her sleeve and she doesn't have to avoid that, but she gets to invite her gut and her thinking instincts into the conversation as well. And so we can maintain our decisions. We can create decisions that work for us instead of against us. So by mastering our emotional responses and realizing that business is emotional, especially when it comes from your life experiences and your expertise, especially when I know that I'm driven to do what I do because I feel like it's my calling, which means that right there, you can tell there's an emotional tie to it. But not everything in business, not every decision you make, life or business. Okay. This is not just for entrepreneurs. This is also for moms and for dads and for people in general. We don't need to have an emotional response to every decision, to everything that we go through. By understanding how we naturally react to stress, it allows us to manage the emotions more efficiently, effectively, and we can start to maintain clarity even in challenging situations. The thing is we can put up our roadblocks. We know our tendencies, and then we can say, oh, I'm in stress again. Let me step back. Let me take care of myself, and let me look at this in a different way to see if I can come up with a different decision. And so the next one is building stronger relationships with clients and your collaborators, your partners, your employees, if you have employees, but it's also your friends, your family. When you know your core motivations and the driving forces behind why you do what you do, you can actually improve how you relate to others because you understand that you don't have to have that knee jerk and reaction that you've always had. You'll be able to communicate more effectively. You'll anticipate your needs, which also allows for you to have space to anticipate theirs as well. Understanding my clients' Enneagram numbers has helped me understand, okay, what perspective are they coming from? What pair of glasses are they do they have on that I can see from their perspective and what decisions and their core needs? It also avoids misunderstandings because understanding that Sarah's a 2 and understanding that 2s have a tendency. Now, every number can be a people pleaser. Like every number has that can do that. That's based on person, not necessarily a number individual. However, 2s are more likely to fall into that trap of people pleasing simply because they want to feel loved and needed. And so when you understand that, when Sarah understood that, she actually could she could give her needs. I lost the words there. Sorry about that. She could effectively clarify her needs. She knew whether she wanted to say yes or no. And then you know what? Because she said yes to the things she knew she wanted to do and she could fulfill, it built that stronger relationship and then people could depend on her because they knew she would say yes or no based on her timing, what she wanted. And you know what? She realized that she wasn't letting people down when she said no. She was actually it built that stronger relationship because now they knew what they could depend on her for. And they didn't want the people she worked with, they didn't want her overextended either. They just, figured they'd keep asking and she would have said no if she couldn't handle it. Well, what they didn't know is that inside she had that such drive to be needed that whether she could handle it or not, she would be up late at night making sure that it was done. And so to build the stronger relationships with our clients, with our partners, with our families, with our collaborators, when we're able to communicate more effectively, when we anticipate our needs and their needs, we can avoid misunderstandings that could hinder both of our relationship in growth and also in business and in life. And the next thing is leading authentically. Leading authentically, and I have in my notes in your business, but honestly, this is in your life in general. This is leading yourself authentically, leading your family, your kids, your friends, understanding your unique strengths and the challenges that we face and that we put ourselves in times because of what our motivations are. There is times that I get myself into a predicament because I'm trying to do things the right way instead of just getting them done. So sometimes it's a predicament and it's like, okay, Tammy, just step back and just get it done. And sometimes it's like, okay, well, there is actually no right way in this situation. How can I find a winning outcome? So the Enneagram allows me to understand and lead with confidence and authenticity. It allows me to lead with confidence and authenticity. It allows you to understand why you do what you do. And then you can lead your decisions, your business, your family, understanding your unique strengths and your gifts and your talents and how you were wired. And so you can make decisions and build them around what you know to be true. And then you can put in, like one of the things that I do is I have a coach who is not an Enneagram 1. I specifically asked my coaches when I was looking for a coach, I asked them what their Enneagram number is because I wanted someone who can see things from a different perspective, but understood my perspective. And so I knew because I have friends who are 1s, so I can go to them for some things. But when it came to business, I wanted an Enneagram 3, someone who would help me get past my stuff and help me succeed, help me push past my comfort zone and realize that there are some times that doing it the right way is not really a way at all. Like there is no one right way. You just got to pick a way and go. And so I'm able to lead myself with confidence, knowing that, okay, in this situation, there's not one right way that I have to do, that I have to go in. There's not one right path. There's multiple paths that are all right. I get to choose. So with this and leading yourself authentically, you're going to attract the right people. You're going to build trust in your brand, in your family. You're going to create a business that reflects the true you, and you're going to attract the right buyers, the right clients, the right customers, the people who value what you bring to the table. And so it helps you to see what's going on. It helps you to build your brand by the way you want it to be seen, what you bring to the table, by the problem you solve in your unique way. that you don't have to worry about looking like everyone else because you're leading authentically. You're leading the way that God asked you to, the way that God wired you, the way that is bringing your strengths to the table. And so some of the things, and I wanted to give you an action step. I wanted to talk about this because understanding the Enneagram it has been a game changer for my life, for my business, for my clients. It's been a game changer for my friends. We joke about it. We do take part in the Trendiagram, all the little memes and things you see on Instagram or the Enneagram is so much more than that. And we can joke around with it. I talk often about how my inner critic, I named her Miranda after Miranda Priestley on The Devil Wears Prada, because it's no matter what, it's like she can even have an element of like pride, but you're still not there. And so when I understand that, it allows me to step into it and it allows me to separate my desires and my actions from my inner critic. It allows me to see the lies in the beliefs that I have and see what's true in the beliefs I want to hold or what is actually true about myself. So going back to Sarah and looking at how she has been able to see that like her business has grown, her family has grown, her relationships have grown simply because she got to start saying no to things that don't matter to her, things that she knew that someone else could do better. And that because her worth is not tied to her yes anymore. Her worth is not tied to her actions. It's tied to who she is in Christ, who she is as a person. By separating that, she is able to grow in all areas of her life. She was able to have more self-care. She's able to have stronger relationships with her spouse, with her friends, with her kids. And they realized that her kids didn't even care about the Pinterest lunches. They didn't care about the perfectly decorated cupcakes that she would send in often. What they cared about is they wanted her to just be there. They didn't want her stressed. They missed her just laughing with them. By understanding the Enneagram, by stepping into the self-awareness that goes beyond I'm feeling your initial feelings, the self-awareness that I feel overwhelmed, I feel triggered, or I feel it's like, no, the self-awareness that I'm talking about goes so much deeper than that. It's why we do what we do. And it's not a fleeting thought or a fleeting emotion. This is our core being, that when we understand that, we can start making decisions based on what's in our best interest instead of what we're feeling like how we need to protect ourselves. It's a success versus a safety mechanism. And so if you have not gotten my new resource yet, I have a new resource. This is from years of working with clients. It's the 3 biggest mistakes when you are starting a small business. Now, when you're starting anything, if you are starting a nonprofit, if you are starting a side gig, if you are starting an MLM, if you are starting something that puts yourself out there, if you're starting a ministry, a book club, there's things that I have noticed that my clients all have similar. Okay. It's not just my clients. It's also the mistakes that I have made too. In the almost 5 years I've been in business, I realized that these 3 things, if I would have avoided these 3 things, I would have been a lot further faster. And so I didn't want you to fall into those pitfalls. And if you did, I wanted you to help you identify which pitfall you're in and get out of it. So I have a resource. There's in the show notes is the link for it. I'm also going to start talking more about them because as we get brave and have the courage to step into who God calls us to be, as we step out of our comfort zone and into the world of unknown, that's when we start to make the biggest impact. And there's things that we can do to help our impact grow and our legacy grow faster, stronger. Go stronger, faster. There you go. Make a bigger impact. And the fact that when we start something, we need it to be profitable so we don't get burnt out, so we don't feel like we're overexerting ourselves. So get this resource. I built it with you in mind. It is just a PDF. We can talk more about those 3 things. This is actually this is number 2, I believe, is this. We don't dive deeper into self-awareness, and we don't go beyond just how we're feeling or the thoughts that we have. All right, friend, I am super excited that you're here. I'm super excited that you are with me. If you have not left my podcast a rating or review, please do so. I am making some changes. I am getting, like God's working on all of us, right? And I feel like every step, every growth period, I get bolder and bolder. And I know that it's also, I see it in my clients too, as they get the confidence. And one of the things that I know without a shadow of a doubt is I have been like, everything has led up to this moment where I want to help you step out of your comfort zone and do whatever God's called you to do. I know without a shadow of a doubt that He would not have put it in your heart if there was not a way, if He was not going to help you fulfill it. And so I want to guide you to see what it is, figure it out from your perspective, your core motivations, your core avoidances. What is your comfort zone and what does it look like? And how do we get out of it as soon as possible? So you can get to the other side and see that fulfilling, that impactful, that sustainable, and that amazing life that God has for you. So if you're interested in that, get my resource. And in there's ways to get in contact with me. All right. Well, I believe that we're coming to the end. We're wrapping this up. I have a couple of workshops coming up. I have got a vision lab that we are going to take the vision. I'm going to show you how to create an expanded vision, to create a vision that is God's eyes, to unlock some of the fears that we have about wanting things that feel out of reach. And how that is one of the mistakes that I made, is I didn't think big enough, and it slowed me down. I didn't think big enough as a mom. I didn't think big enough as an entrepreneur. And even in relationships, having that expanded vision, it brought a whole new level of excitement to my life. And so I have a vision lab coming up, which is going to be 4 sessions. So it's going to be a little bit like we're actually going to work through and create a vision. I also have a whole self-care, because once we get the vision, then we need to take care of ourselves. We need to start building this self-care plan, the self-care. How do we do it without, chucking it all and moving to Bali? How do we do it without, going and getting massages every week? Like, how can we, what truly is self-care to you? And how do we build that into your schedule? How do we build that into as a natural part of your life? And then the third one I have, which we are going to do, I have ambitions to get all of this done before the end of the year. And then we're going to talk about purposeful productivity. So once we have the vision, and then we know how to take care of ourselves, so we have the energy and we have the desire and we have the ability to go for what our vision states, what our vision shows, then it's like, how do we turn on this purposeful productivity? So that way, and it's going to go beyond just time blocking. It's going to go beyond just put it on your calendar. I want to talk to you about true productivity and how to balance it in your life, how to know if it's productive or if it is actually going to hinder your growth. And again, though this is geared towards entrepreneurs or fledgling, budding, those people who have a inkling that they may want to be an entrepreneur, this is also just for life, because even if you're as a mom or as a dad or as an employee or as a volunteer, we can get stuck in our own stuff and we don't see how to make our yeses yes and our no's no. So that is what I built these 3 workshops to help you do. All right, with that, friend, choose joy until joy chooses you. I cannot wait to see you. See you again soon. All right, bye.